Too much compost? Well, I don't even know if there is such a thing, but I've made some changes here in the chicken yard this winter, and that's what I aim to find out. What I've sought to do this year that's different is I've brought in a lot more wood chips, a lot more animal manure, and along with all that excess carbon, we're still bringing in food scraps and vegetable produce. Experimentation is a big part of what I do in here. I'm always trying to improve the quality of the compost that comes out of here, as well as providing an interesting environment for these chickens, and much heavier toward the carbon side of things. And that's been largely a result of me having a piece of equipment at my disposal. I really only have one concern about all the material that I'm bringing in here. Just pull the finished pile out of this area. Just pull the finished pile out of this area, rich with worms and worm eggs and other biological activity, which will help to further inoculate these piles, kind of give them a little bit of a jump start. I've got one back here, and then as we flip around, there's another pretty sizable pile back here. My philosophy on running this chicken yard has been one requiring a lot of patience. I'm not looking to turn this compost around in a month's time. Most of what I've been bringing in this fall will remain in here throughout the winter, and at the very earliest might come out in the spring, but chances are a majority of this will start to cycle out by summertime. Probably brought in somewhere around 8 yards of wood chips to this point. In many of these areas, the wood chips are nearing a foot deep. I've also brought in another 3 yards or so of wood chips that have been infused with steer manure. Fresh wood chips into the steer's bedding area, and a week and a half or so will go by, and then I'll take that material, take it over into the chicken yard, and let them have their way with it. What's great about that is that they're going to work that manure over and get all those undigested grains that the steer didn't process the first time through. Let me show you over here what I'm talking about, and I'll give you a little closer look. So you can see how these house sparrows have kind of been working this. If you open this stuff up, you really see the amount of grain that's still left in there. The steer's also getting fed alfalfa, so all of this is going to wind up over in the chicken yard and just be a great source of nitrogen and get mixed up with all this carbon. I've also brought a lot more leaves in this fall, and I haven't held back. All of the leaves that I've picked up thus far off the lawn have found their way in here to the chicken yard. Leaves are an incredibly valuable resource, and I've probably brought in somewhere in the neighborhood of about 20 of these bins so far. We're just now in the first part of winter, and there's plenty of leaves yet to fall and more to follow. The chickens will go and investigate that. What I've started to do this year is caching all of the finished compost that I have that I don't specifically have a use for at this time. These yellow things there, those are the worm eggs, and of course there's worms laden throughout. These will hatch out. More worm eggs. I keep some of it in the yard, which is a great place to have it so that I can screen it out in here if in fact I want to screen it. And then I keep some outside of the yard as well. Let me show you that. Just outside of the yard, I've got some excess that I've palletized where I'll be able to come in with my forks and relocate this to elsewhere on the property. One consistent theme in this yard has been to add sunflower seed and scratch grain to the piles every morning. By folding all of this grain and seed in, just encourages the chickens to remain active in these areas. A lot of the seed that gets placed in these piles doesn't get found initially and will eventually just turn to sprouts, and chickens will be able to benefit as they find them. It's Christmas morning, so Merry Christmas. And we're still getting about 10 to 12 eggs per day out of the 18 hens that we have in the yard. That's largely coming from our 1-year-old Novagens. And our oldest birds in the yard are coming on 3 years old. The hens that used to live in this coop have decided to integrate with the hens living in that coop, which is actually really nice because I've got 23 pullets that'll be coming out of the brooder in a couple of weeks, and they're going to need a home. My only real concern about bringing all this carbon into this space is that all these trees that I've planted will be sending their feeder roots into it, which is just going to require the chickens and I to keep this material on the move. The real benefit is not only in the soil life that's going to contribute to a better compost, but the feed that's contained within this deep bed of carbon to feed these chickens for months to come. What's up, Squatty? I will be providing another update to this chicken yard in the springtime, and if that's something that interests you, consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.